Take a moment to think about your experiences in U.S. history classes, both in high school and now in college. You probably remember learning about the Trail of Tears and the oppressions faced by Native Americans. Did you know that people in the same period also faced similar oppression for their religion as well? In fact, thousands of people traveled a distance of 1,300 miles across 5 states to just attain their religious freedom. Of course, I am speaking of the Mormon Trail. Today, I will fill you in on the history of the Mormon Trail and why it is an important part of the American history. While our history classes rightfully teach students about America's history of racial injustice, they leave out similar injustices faced by religious groups such as the Latter-day Saints, commonly called Mormons. First, I will begin with the Jewish origin and their role in U.S. history. Then I will discuss how marginalization caused the Mormon Trail, and will end with some of the horrors the Mormons faced during the journey. To find out what makes Mormonism so American, we must first dive into its roots. Mormonism, also known as Restore Gospel, is America's first homegrown religion and was founded by Joseph Smith. Smith discovered this religion in an important time in American history called the Great Awakening. Mary Williams talks a lot about the Great Awakening in her book Religion in America. This was a time when Americans began combining their religious identities with their spiritual identities. Williams explored, as many history teachers do, how many religious ideas in America today trace their root to the Great Awakening. It's helpful to know how many of America's religious traditions can be traced to this period. Knowing how legislation was used to target certain groups provides better understanding of how the Great Awakening privileged some groups and marginalized others. The Mormon Trail marks a period of oppression for thousands of religious people. In 1838, a mob in Missouri killed 17 Mormons in Huntsville, according to BYU Encyclopedia of Mormonism Index. This was one of the inciting incidents of the Mormon oppression in American history. According to Richard Bushman's biography of Joseph Smith, Smith was arrested multiple times on false charges. In 1844, while awaiting trial, he was murdered by a violent mob in Catholic, Illinois. It was clear by 1844 that Mormons could not possibly live in peace. Given Smith's arrest, it was evident that laws would never come down in favor of the church. The just settlement thrived in Ohio until violence from mobs forced them into Illinois. According to the church official historical text, Church History in the Fullness of Times, Joseph Smith urged Brigham Young to lead the people to the Rocky Mountains where they could be free from condemnation of other Christians. And here's their story. Many Mormons experienced severe difficulties throughout the journey westward, a struggle Americans should never forget. According to history books published by the church, that thousands of Mormons risked it all to start a new life. Between 1846 and 1869, approximately 70,000 Mormons made the journey across the Mormon Trail that is 1,300 miles long. They crossed several states, including Illinois, Iowa, Wyoming, and Utah. Today, the National Park Service has preserved many parts of this historic path for visitors. If you're interested, you can learn more on the website under the article, Mormon Pioneer, National Historic Trail. Sadly, many died during the grueling pathway to religious freedom. According to a journal article published by BYU Studies called mortality on the Mormon trail. Between 4,500 and 5,000 Mormons died during the journey. More than 45% of those who died were under the age of 25. And causes of death range from fatigue, hunger, and frostbite, as all the states along the trail are known for horrible winters. Due to lack of horses and resources, many pioneers put their belongings in handcarts. Aside their belongings, pioneers also put a series of discoveries that guide us today. A general knowledge of the Mormon trail gives students of American history knowledge about how systemic oppression affected religious minorities. By understanding how Americans in the Great Awakening privileged some religious beliefs over others, students can understand what led to the oppression of Mormons in the Midwest during 1830s and 40s. Those horrors of the drought remind all Americans about the struggle that Americans in the history made for freedom. Those horrors remind us all that freedom, even freedom to believe, always comes at a cost. So next time when you are in a plane going over the so-called flyover states, put a pause on your airline's complimentary movie and take a moment to think about the thousands of families who risked it all for the right to believe in their faith. Remember them as we think of ways to fight today's oppression in any way it comes. Thank you.